looks like I'm live on YouTube, but I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened last time. I don't know if I just forgot. I must have forgot to check, but I suddenly ended my Facebook video and I checked on YouTube and I had not. It seems like I had not pressed play or something like that. It must have been, I assume. Um, so a bit disappointing that I only had the Facebook version. I'm just hoping Facebook keeps that video and nothing goes wrong with it, because I record on Facebook and YouTube in case something goes wrong with one of them. Hopefully there'll be a copy, if not on Facebook, on YouTube or vice versa. But yeah, I was talking for about 17 minutes or God knows how long, and it didn't record on YouTube. So luckily, I think I almost probably swore or something. So I probably swore, but luckily, I don't know if you could hear me. I probably I probably just said, "What the hell? What was going on?" And I could have said, luckily, I don't think I did. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened, as I say, in part one on YouTube. But yeah, I've been struggling to think about what to cover for this, so it's way behind schedule. In fact, I've not really thought it and planned it as much as I like, but I'll give it a go. Part of me just can't be bothered, but I did kind of want to do it, but I'm just run out of ideas, or my brain's just not working. But I hope you enjoy it. As the title and description hopefully alludes to, it was World Football Day on Monday, as I mentioned in part one. But I didn't find out till it was sort of too late to make those videos. We made quite a few videos and that kind of thing. I probably could have just made a short video to talk about World Football Day, but could have, should have, would have. I didn't do it in the end. So, anywho, as ever, as I normally do, I decided to do it in list form. I decided to do these in list form. So I don't know if, however, I don't know if I'm going to get around to part 3 and 4. So this is another incomplete thing, but I'll see how it goes. But trying to think if there was anything else I was going to say in the intro. I had to do a bit of shopping for once. So normally my poor mum does all shopping. I can't stand shopping. I think my mum should probably just do home delivery or something, much easier. Anyway, these are pointers number 11 to 20. I hope I didn't forget anything for the intro, but I'd love to know what you think about football. What do you hate, like, dislike, love, or whatever about it? What are your feelings about football? What's your favourite football team? Anyone out there? But yeah, here you go. So number 11, I think of change, and I'd love to know, any football fans out there, what would you change about football? Like, what would you change about some of the things FIFA or UEFA or whoever does? Maybe in your own country, people might be watching overseas, or even from England or whatever. From England and overseas, like, what would you change maybe about your own club team, your own national team, about football generally, or whatever, generally that is, or whatever. I'd love to know. It'd be interesting to get a consensus from football fans. That's a big word for me. I don't know if you can see, I've got my nice Italy top when Italy won the World Cup. Have a tight jump, otherwise I've got my Italy scarf and flag as well. I only bought it because I think it looked, I mentioned in the past. But another thing I was thinking about, and I don't know if I should mention, I'm sure there's something else I was going to say, but I completely forgot. I know there's walking football. That's another thing. Number 11 reminds me of walking for some reason, but I won't go into too much into that right now. Probably be my level, actually. It sounds like something that a lazy guy like me would do. But I'd like to have the option to be able to run. Maybe just have football for fun, like where you don't have to run too much, but you have the option to run, yes. But yeah, what was I going to say? Sorry. One thing I was thinking about, I don't know, probably a silly idea, but I thought I'd share it anyway. I wasn't sure, but I thought I'd share it anyway. Is, as I grew up in Leicester, I talked about in part 1, I talked about before, and it's actually the county of Leicestershire, or the Shire, all that kind of thing. So there's a city and the county, just like Derbyshire, I suppose, Nottinghamshire, and probably one or two other shires, and the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. But I was thinking, what if there was a Leicestershire County FC, as well as Leicester City Football Club, LCFC? What if there was an LCFC in Leicestershire County Football club, another LCFC. Now, part of me thinks that would actually potentially cause division and should at least be a distraction. And I suppose as LCFC are struggling, it might not be the best. But also normally when a new team is formed from the same city or area, it becomes a rival. Whereas this one, I think, from the beginning, it could be founded saying that like we want to create a team which is very diverse and peaceful and welcoming, but tries to compete to win, but in a fair and friendly way, and tackles corruption. But also that if anything, it would have a friendly rivalry, if anything, with LCFC. I think in Scotland, Dundee and Dundee United have a friendly rivalry. Like even their football hooligans have a friendly rivalry. Although this club, if I did found it, it's just an idea of mine, but if it was founded, I would want it to be peaceful and have no hooligans or anything like that, and encourage more Asian and other minorities to get into football, into playing, coaching, managing, directing, being directors of football, dietitians and whatnot, and learning about football and that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know if I should ask this, but I dare ask, what do you think about that idea? Especially Leicester fans, I'd love to know. I say I don't really support. I don't really. I mean, it doesn't affect me as much as Italy and Celtic, but I do like to see playing green. In Celtic's case, I do like to see Leicester do well. Really, because it's diverse rather than because I grew up there, and even like Birmingham for some reason I have a soft spot. Birmingham, I suppose it's probably because it's diverse. Strangely, I probably like the name, but I don't know why. Leicestershire and that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know if that would be a division, not a division, but not as in a division like what, not a division, a diversion perhaps. Like so, it would make it. I don't know if it would be that something that would get in the way of the LCFC, like Leicester City Football Club. But yeah, I wonder if there could be a county side. I don't know, just an idea about that. As per usual, I like to say the ideas in my mind, something I probably shouldn't say. But moving on to point number 12. I think I was going to say is it point number 11, but how initially, but how do you, what ideas and suggestions would you have to get more people into football generally, and especially more Asians and part Asians like myself? In my case, part Asian. How could more Anglo-Indians, Christangs, and Blasians, as well as Eurasians, people are part European and part Asian, and part Black and part Asian, how can more get into football? What could be done? Maybe like special tournaments, tourneys as I call them, leagues, cups, and that kind of thing. Nations like Egypt could host one for Malaysians. You've got part Black and part Asian, and Eurasian nations, countries between Europe and Asia like Turkey could host some for Eurasians like myself. I'd love for Eurasians to play football, especially in Italy, and also with Celtic and working with clubs like that. But what could the FA in England and other FAs around the world, football associations around the world, FIFA and UEFA do, and whatever governing bodies do to get more Asians into football and minorities into football, as they playing, coaching, managing, being director of football, being dietitian, learning about diets and whatnot. I'd love to know any suggestions you have to get more people into football. Number 13, this year has been quite a rough year for me, mostly football-wise, from a personal point of view, if I'm honest, because rather embarrassingly, Italy failed to qualify for the World Cup for the third time in a row, which is really embarrassing. I also worry about the future of Italian football. Like, is it going to be able to change? How could I love for Italian football fans to have more of a say in how the games run in Italy, similar with Celtic, I guess. But yeah, I worry if they're going to be able to develop good players and all that kind of stuff. Also, even Celtic was struggling for a while, and Leicester like doing too well because they're very diverse, more so than up there. But yeah, seeing them struggle, considering they won the league 10 years ago and the FA Cup, I think 5 years ago or something like that. 5 or 6 years, I think it was 5 years ago, 2021. But yeah, seeing them struggle was really disappointing as well. Not as bad as Italy's the worst, that way. But seeing Celtic struggle wasn't too good. But we'll say on that in point number 14. But seeing Leicester do bad, and then Arsenal won the league. I'm just hoping they don't win the Champions League tomorrow. It's going to be a nightmare. The same year Italy fails to qualify for the World Cup for the third time in a row. Italian club teams struggle in Europe. English teams doing well, which takes them further ahead of Italy, and things like that. So it's a bit of a nightmare. I don't know if I should say this because it'll probably jinx it. I wouldn't want Brazil to win the World Cup because they'll be on 6 then, and that's 2 ahead of Italy. I've still got some dream that Italy will overtake them in the future one day, preferably ASAP. But I mean, we're still got to qualify in 4 years, hopefully, and then it'd be great if we won. Like, if the world lasts long enough, that's one prayer I have for the world to last long enough just for Italy to win most World Cups, something like that, and around that amount of time. Anyway. But at this rate, it would take a long time. Yeah, I wouldn't want Brazil to win because then they'd be on 6 World Cups, if I'm honest. I wouldn't want. I think that might be about the worst, closely followed by Germany winning because then they'd be on 5, which would take them ahead of Italy. With Brazil, it's like not a team I dislike. It's just a rivalry with Italy, but it's like because they're Latin and they're mixed like me, mixed. But because I supported Italy first, I sort of stuck to Italy. But yeah, as that rivalry, as much as I respect Brazil and I like their football and that kind of thing, and I wish Italians could play that skillful attacking football, that kind of thing, personally. But they are our rivals, so I don't really want them to win. I think that would be the worst, closely followed by Germany, because then they go ahead. And I wouldn't want England to win. I should say that, but just because I never hear the end of it, just like with Arsenal. I expected my mate to wind up even more about Arsenal. My Arsenal mate. Arsenal nils. Anyway, trying to keep it family friendly. But yeah, I say beg. It reminds me of an acronym, beg. I want Brazil, England, or Germany to win. Obviously, if any win, and one of them could win. I kind of want France to win. I'm sure most Italian fans won't agree with me, but they are a Mediterranean republic with a tricolor, Mr. T as I call it, and have a similar culture to Italy. And maybe they show to Italy if Italy was more open to being diverse and allowing more black or even Asian players in the future play for them, maybe they could do better. If they give everyone a chance, although I think it should be based on merit, not favoritism or nepotism or whatever. Yeah, those were some of the bad things. I say Italy failing to qualify was the worst. Celtic was struggling for a while. Leicester was gone down, and Arsenal won the league and being in the final. And 2 English teams already winning in Europe. I really hope PSG win tomorrow. Otherwise, it'll be a hat trick for the English teams, but they'll go even more ahead of Germany, ahead of Italy rather. Sorry, like if German teams win, it's not so much of a competition. But anyway, for Italy. But moving on, number 14. Though most of the year was quite rough for me football-wise, that's one problem. But I think someone was discussing. He's a vicar or something like that, and he was discussing, or minister or whatever, and he was discussing in a pub, all places. Obviously, Christianity is not so strict about drinking or like that, but he was discussing that, saying you don't need music or football. But I disagree. I think you need those things in life. Most things in life are a pain in the neck, brain, and the rest of my body, in my opinion, and probably most people might think so. I think most things are a chore and a bore, if I'm honest. I mean, negative and pessimistic, but football and music and walking, I suppose, having nice weather and things like that. I know some of those things are out of my control, but or at least one of them is, if not others. Some of the few things, other than the company of my cat and things like that. And occasionally socialising. Sometimes I like to be by myself, but those are some of the things that are there to enjoy. But I was thinking, even though it was a rough season, Celtic still managed to win the league and a double as well. So even in a rough season, there's been a bit of light at the end of the tunnel because Celtic won was pretty much the last kick of the game. I knew we were going to win as soon as we got that last goal, which is basically when we had one. I sort of say they joke about that, but I only knew when actually right at the end. Just like our manager said. But yeah, it was a long slog till the end of the season, which makes it a bit more, kind of even more enjoyable to win it because it was kind of unexpected since we were behind for so long. And I feared we were going to lose it. I suppose it would be a bit like Italy getting re-admitted to World Cup think it's too late for happening, but that's only happened once in Euros, in Euro '92 when Denmark went on to win it. So I thought it would be cool if something like that happened for Italy. Although I'd rather us qualify properly and do it fair and square and even play entertaining football. But football doesn't always go where you want. It's not always fair or whatever. But talking of which, I hope to talk more about this in June, but I'd love to see Italy, the football nation I love the most, the nation I love the most in football, my favourite team, and FIFA, which has been, both of which have been blighted by corruption. I'd love for Juventus, which is based in Turin, to have like a centre which looks at how to tackle corruption and makes sure that the deserving team wins. Well, sometimes I get a bit of luck, but tries to make sure that corruption is kicked out of football, booted out, tackled out of football, ideally. So the best team wins. I don't want it to be like wrestling. Some people do say football is scripted. I hope they're wrong, because I don't want football to be like wrestling, where it's like predetermined before the game. I want it to be that the two teams are going out doing their best, hopefully, to win. Some players might be lazier than others, but generally speaking, all footballers should be doing their best to win, in my opinion. Just like when you play football. I know sometimes you have a bit of a laugh, you don't take it too serious, but and therefore you don't take it too serious. But yeah, I think it should be the best, or at least the luckiest team win, but not based on corruption or whatever. I don't know how much I believe in luck. But anyway, I just want to say that. Point number 14, solving problems through football. That's another thing, like football using to fundraise to tackle problems like illnesses, diseases, natural disasters, climate change, and that kind of thing. Number 15, my personal goals would be to see Italy become the top footballing nation. Italian club teams, Serie A teams, winning the most trophies out of any European team or international team even. And I mean, European teams are known to be the best, but I don't know if they've won the most overall trophies. I suppose it depends who you compete against, because it's like if a team from Asia can qualify for the World Cup. A team from Asia can qualify for the World Cup, but it's easier. It's not quite as much of an achievement when they get to the World Cup. It will be harder because the teams they've played are not as easy. A bit like when Celtic play in Europe, if that all makes sense. But yeah, so like a South American team could win so many trophies. Talking about Celtic, like Celtic winning so many domestic trophies, but people outside of Scotland might say, well, it's not as much of an achievement because you don't have as many teams competing. Most of the time it's a two-horse race, as we mock our biggest rivals, the Rangers, right? Because I call them. People say they came third in a two-horse race and things like that. So yeah, those things to mock them with. Which long may that continue, I guess. But yeah, I find it difficult to choose between. But I suppose Italy winning the most World Cups will be my biggest priority in football, closely followed by Italian club teams winning the most in Europe and internationally. I know they have a rival with each other, but when they play in Europe, I think they should support each other, as I've said in the past. And Celtic will continue to win the most domestic trophies in Scotland and continuing to remain the most successful Scottish team. Like sometimes I think, what if I was given a choice, like between, it's hard to even say really, to be honest, but between like, I don't know, Italy not becoming the top in terms of winning the World Cups, most World Cups. Let's say if Brazil or even Germany became top, I suppose at least with Brazil, I'd feel like the Latin sort of thing, because I look Latin, I guess. And like I played football in the park once when I grew up in Leicester with someone who supposedly came from Brazil, and people say he looked like me. That's pretty cool. But funny enough, I only support Italy because I think I look Italian. That's it. But I guess there's lots of people from Italy and Spain and Portugal in Brazil, so they're kind of Latin and also very mixed as well. So many of them have Portuguese and African descent. So at least I have that sort of connection of I feel I look Latin, so I connect more with them rather than with Germany. I don't feel any connection to. Well, then I suppose they're a republic with a tricolor, so I suppose they're kind of like they have something in common with Italy, but I don't really feel much of a connection with Germany, at least with Brazil, although they're rivals with Italy. I sort of feel that Latin connection and also mixed race, although I'm not Latin, but in fact I look Latin. I know I'm very confusing, but yeah, it would be hard to choose which one's more important, but I think it just shades it with Italian football winning the most World Cups, again closely followed by Serie A teams winning the most European and international trophies, and Celtic continuing to win the most domestic trophies in Scotland. But hopefully, using my dyslexic connectivity, connecting things together, seemingly random things together, I could turn that potentially negative or that challenge at least, that negative situation or challenge at least, to into a positive by talking about them training together. So hopefully, Italian football helping Celtic to remain top in Scotland and helping them to practice, and Celtic helping Italian teams at club and country level, especially at youth level, to practice and improve. And moving on, number 16. Again, I'd love to know any opinions from football fans. I mentioned in point number 11, like what would you change about football, about FIFA, UEFA, the FA, the English FA, your own local FA, national FA, wherever you live, your own club team, how football is run. Like for a lot of people, they might say they're not happy with money in the game. I kind of love the fact there's lots of money in the game, although I can see the argument the other way, I think. I suppose a lot of people might say as well, when there's a lot of poverty in the world, they might say, of course, it's a first world problem, who can score more goals or whatever. But again, I think that thing in life that gives you fun and joy and excitement, enjoyment, and that kind of thing. When most things are a pain in the bum and a pain in the brain. Probably won't say other words as well, but yeah, pain all over the body. Most things are annoying and a pain, probably like me. But yeah, I'd love to know from football fans any opinions you have on football, the running of the game, what FIFA could change, what would change about the World Cup, the European Cup, or any other things in football. Again, people, other federations might get involved. That'd be great to hear from or read from at least other football fans. Number 17. I can't really imagine. I like to use my imaginations. I say point number 17, imaginations. I can't really imagine Italy winning like 3 World Cups in a row, but that'd be pretty cool. Like, it'd be quite interesting. It went from failing, I say we as a fan, went from failing to qualify for 3 World Cups in a row to going to win 3 in a row. Actually, that's what I wanted to happen. So the opposite to what actually happened when I wanted us to win. As I say, as a fan, to win 3 World Cups in a row, we actually failed to qualify for 3 World Cups in a row. But it would be great if in 2030, 2034, and 2038, Italy won those 3 World Cups. That would be pretty amazing. And I'd love to see Italian teams get back to the top, like teams like AC Milan, Inter Milan, Roma, and other Italian teams, I say Serie A teams, winning in Europe and internationally again, winning World Club Cups, UEFA Super Cups, and things like that. And another thing I think of, like when I talk about the World Club Cup, I think it should be one, I need to say a trillion, not quite a trillion, but I think there should be like 1 billion, so that's 1,000 trillion, about 1 or even 2 billion pounds, or even, dollars or even pounds, if you win the World Club Cup, which to me should be bigger than the Champions League, because like Champions League, because it's the World Cup rather than just Europe. And I wonder if like there should be something which is like the real Champions League, where you have to be a champion of your domestic league to actually enter into it or be entered into it, or maybe all champions could get entered into it. So there could be a Champions Trophy where every possible team is just automatically put in if you win your league, and like even teams from smaller countries, which would give them more of a chance. That's not my quirky neurodivergent ideas, dyslexic ideas, or whatever. I guess. Yeah, I can't remember. I'm sure there's something else I was going to say, but also Celtic winning as many trophies as possible. It'd be hard to see Celtic win. I'd love to see Celtic winning like 150 or 200 trophies in the future if the world lasts that long. And also, I just want the world to last that long, just so the Italian team and Celtic can win even more. As long as it doesn't help Rangers and Rangers to win more, I guess, or Germany or Brazil, or whatever. But anyway, I'd say I'd beg for Brazil, England, or Germany not to win. I don't know how to say that, but for various reasons. But yeah, I won't go into that again. But also, talking about before I move on to point number 18, I'd love to see Celtic one day win like the Europa Conference League, maybe we should be put in the Conference League because it might be easier for us to actually win it. The Conference League, the Europa League, and even the Champions League one day, and the Super Cup, UEFA Super Cup, and even the World Club Cup one day. I think that'd be pretty amazing for the first time in the club's history. Point number 18, I'd love to see football for good, football for the greater good. So how can football be used to build bridges and make the world a better place? So yeah, how could there be more charity games and things like that, and things to make the world a better place? I wonder. I know people say like footballers are overpaid, or whatever. And like some footballers probably they do the charitable work just to look better or whatever. But sorry, drop the ball. But one of the balls anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what football could be doing. Sorry, what football could be used for. How could football can be used for the greater good? How football can be more positive and that kind of thing. Number 19, for instance, helping software developers from developing nations, and including from Africa and around the world, or developing nations generally, and also helping projects that empower people from Asia. As I talked about, I wish to support Asians this month, or what's left of it, and in June actually as well. But yeah, how more, maybe how FIFA could help to build more pitches, stadia, I hope I pronounced that right, pitches, stadia, academies and things like that across Asia. But also funding, as I say, STEM education for girls and boys across Asia and Africa, and that kind of thing, software developing, helping them to learn to become programmers, software developers, coders, build AI apps and things like that. So help them with education, business, helping them to run their own tuck shops and be financially empowered through football and that kind of thing, fundraising for those sort of things. I suppose it already happens, but I hope to see more of it. And number 20, hopefully there'll be a lot of youth empowerment, and I hope to see more younger players, especially in Italy, to play football. Future young stars, youngsters, young stars, and I think youngsters into young stars. And on that note, I'm out, and peace and love.